What is good, all of our listeners? Welcome to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
I'm Liz.
And Ray is a Skywalker. Come at me, Ryan Johnson. She's a Skywalker. Let's just put that on the record. Ray is a Skywalker.
Yes. Because
the title. So we saw the what do you call it? The teaser trailer of Star Wars Episode 9. That's what episode we're on right now, is Episode 9.
Good job.
Thank you. And yeah, The Rise of Skywalker is the name. And Rey was prominent within it. She's someone's holding the medal that Luke won. I'm sorry, Ryan Johnson. You can't destroy that. Rey was supposed to be a Skywalker of some sort. I'm guessing she was the stepsister of Luke. That's my guess. What do you think, Liz?
Wait, what?
What do you think? Stepsister?
What did you just...
Stepsister?
No.
Half brother? Moonwalker?
Daughter.
I think Moonwalker. I'm pretty sure. Liz, how you doing?
Confused.
Oh man, what did you think of the teaser trailer?
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it, and I'm also scared.
Why are you scared?
Just because episode 8 went so bad.
Well, this is JJ we're talking about.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just scared.
Someone on my Facebook, I posted it. I never go on Facebook anymore because I'm tired, and I posted the title screen of it. Mm-hmm. And someone commented just saying, well, I just hope JJ doesn't like ruin it or doesn't explain anything or leaves it off on.
You mean like what happened in episode 8?
That's what I mean. And just like episode 8 left so many things on a tangent and unanswered questions. Like, I'm not going to spoil it in case you didn't see it, but the whole episode 8 was just... It was just unanswered questions. That's all it was. What are you talking about? JJ's going to do that. It was all Ryan Johnson's fault. Come at me, Ryan Johnson.
Not only all that, but also... It's just all the emotions with it being the last. It's the end.
Yeah.
It's like reliving when Harry Potter ended. Like all the emotions of like everything you've watched. Like this is like your going on your whole life. Like especially for like
since
people
76.
like our parents' age who have been watching it since the very first movie. Mm-hmm. Whereas we watched them, but we didn't wait for them to come out and do all that like our parents did. So it's just like. The emotions behind it ending, like, are we sure it's ending?
Yeah.
Like that, I'm in that denial stage where it's like, are you sure?
Well, the era of Skywalker is.
Yes, I know, but then it's like, what are we gonna do next? And it scares me. So I'm emotional.
So we're not going to do movie minutes this week. That was our movie talk, basically.
Yeah.
Because we have a special guest that's going to come on a little bit later. But first, we're going to go into top 3 gaming news and then jumping into our guest. But before we get into the top 3 gaming news, we just want to remind everybody to follow us on social media. You can find us at Gaming Groceries or follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm Journeyverse, and I promise that after Monday, I might actually be on Twitter again.
Woo!
Tax season is almost over.
So you can follow us individually and give us your gripes on there or be friends with us on individual terms, I guess. Follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, and check out our website. Our website, you can actually play all of our episodes from our website. You can read blogs that I post every now and again. I hope to write a blog one a week. That's what I'm trying to aim for.
That's the goal.
You can also find out where you can find us. We actually just got on Player FM, I believe it's called, Player FM, and Tune In.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. So definitely check out our website. Also follow our good friend Absolute Prodigy on Twitch. He's streaming Division 2, I believe, still. So definitely check him out. Absolute Prodigy on Twitch. He was a guest on the show on episode 40, I think.
I think
41.
So.
You can find out for us by checking out our website. Woo! I think this is a good time to jump into our first segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
Top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw this week. We get the 3 best ones, in our opinion anyway, and we rank it 3, 2, 1 just to keep you informed of what's going on in the gaming industry. So, we actually forgot to rank these. So I'm just going to go down the list, and that's going to be the ranking we give it.
Okay, when you didn't ask me what the ranking was, I assumed you had already ranked it.
Oopsie dinkles. I forgot to rank them. But guess what? Here's the ranking now. Actually, it's in
Yeah.
Actually,
usually we end up keeping it in the order you wrote it. So.
Actually, I'm looking at this right now, and it's actually pretty much 3, 2, 1. So let's go right into it with the number 3 gaming news. Jason Schreier wrote a follow-up article on BioWare talking about the state of Dragon Age 4, which is really interesting. Pretty much the same, not the same. Anthem was pretty bad, but it's kind of same morale levels in BioWare. So it was first codenamed, this is talking about Dragon Age 4.
Yeah.
Not the article.
Yeah.
It was first codenamed Joplin, or Joplin, whatever you call it. And it would center around a group of spies on a heist, and it would have a systematic narrative kind of system in there. Very, very detail-oriented, very choice-oriented. It seemed to be a very RPG-esque game, just like what a Dragon Age game is. That was scrapped for something that was codenamed Morrison. Now, Morrison, which is concerning a lot of people, and okay, not including myself, but we'll get into that a little bit. Morrison is set to be a quote-unquote live service. Also remember that this is being published by EA, who is very famous for live services. Say that with me, everybody. Live services. They are of the devil. So they say live service, but Casey Hudson also replied on Twitter saying he says he's designing a game that is a continued storytelling after the main mission. So that's what he means by live service. More content, probably more DLCs.
Yeah.
Probably live events. So live service, not in the way of microtransactions, but let's be real here. There's going to be microtransactions. The article also states that there is low morale at BioWare. Worries of crunch time and being the black sheep, actually, of EA Studios. There's actually a quote in there that says, like, they hate how BioWare is pretty much the black sheep, saying that, like, Respawn is in it, like, killing it with Apex, and then you have the FIFA teams and the Madden teams, and there's BioWare making all the RPG games, and they're seen as, like, the dorks of EA. You didn't get a chance to read this article.
I didn't.
But what do you think about what was just said?
I hear that BioWare has not learned from their mistakes.
Probably not.
Like, I feel like, yeah, they might be seen as, like, the nerds of the group because they are doing the most gamer game.
Right.
But at the same time, they could also be the black sheep because they bring that on themselves by not keeping their morale, not producing good products. Like, I feel like some of it is brought on themselves. Maybe if they set their standards as high as the other ones at, like, Respawn, and they set their standards as high as those, then maybe they would feel like part of the family. Like, you know what I mean? No,
that's definitely true. Like, there's a lot of things that BioWare does that it shouldn't be there. But Jason Schreier actually just tweeted this morning. We're recording this on a Saturday, by the way. Jason Schreier just tweeted, probably this morning, I believe I saw this, that he got an email from a BioWare employee that all the head staff gathered up all the other staff, and they started to talk about all the problems that Jason Schreier, like, put out there, like saying, like, hey, you need to fix this. And they actually called a meeting together to bring morale back. So that's a good thing. But there are some BioWare employees that are skeptical.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely read this article. It's on Kotaku.com. Just, I would say, look up Jason Schreier, Dragon Age 4, and you'll pretty much find the article. But it's pretty much in the same light as the Anthem article.
Yeah. But basically, like I said, basically it sounds like they just haven't learned from their mistakes with Anthem. Reading that article and seeing that, like, their own employees have commented in this. Yeah. And they still don't get it. Right.
No, it's worrisome. I'll say that. It's worrisome.
Yeah.
But these are interesting articles. Jason is murdering it, like, online on these articles.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Yeah.
They're good articles.
So definitely check it out. And it's actually a good sign that BioWare is seeing these articles and they're saying, like, okay, we need to fix this, like, pronto.
Someone should.
Yeah. So let's go into the number 2 gaming news. And this is a strange one. So according to a luxury marketplace called Hush Hush, there is a anonymous Millionaire that wants to design a real-life battle royale game on a private island.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about this.
Oh, yeah, you saw that. So, yeah, this is some... Okay, nobody knows who this is. A lot of people are saying, like, oh, it's Mr. Beast. Maybe. But each player during this real action battle royale... Now, when I first read this article, well, I saw the headline. I was like, well, this isn't going to end well. But if you read the article, like all people should, don't just read the headlines. Actually sounds like a lot of fun for rich people. Anyways.
Who have time to do these things.
Yeah. But each player will receive an airsoft gun with ammo, touch-sensitive armor, camping gear, supplies, food, drink that would last them 3 days because the games would last 12 hours each day, lasting 3 days. So this is a whole weekend of Battle Royale, and it's going to be 12-hour increments. So I'm guessing the other 12 hours are sleeping.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And it will last 3 days, and the last person standing will receive a 100,000-pound prize. It actually said on the article pounds, so I don't know how that relates to American dollars because I didn't do the math. But yeah.
I'll do it.
Oh, thank you. So reading this article, it's actually a lot of fun if you're rich. A lot of other people are comparing this to the Fire Festival. If you watch the Fire Festival documentary, how it was, set to be this great music festival on a private island, and it just went to smithereens. Like everybody didn't have a place to sleep. Did you look it up?
Yes, 100,000 pounds is $130,824.10 in U.S. state dollars.
There you go, our American friends. So that's up on
you would get more than someone in Europe.
I think, though, that I also read that the trip cost $15,000. I might have that number wrong, but I remember it's like...
So basically that money's pocket money to whoever goes.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, it's pretty cool, though. Like, I wish I could go because it just sounds like a lot of fun. Because it's a 3-day battle royale, and you're just like on this private island with airsoft guns.
I just imagine, like, if you're watching it on TV, I imagine it being like the Hunger Games, but with Nerf guns.
Yeah.
And it just sounds really funny.
See, Nerf guns are more affordable, so we should do that. Just like place upon the people.
Do our own in our backyard.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It lasts 3 days in our backyard. Here's a Nerf gun. Good luck.
Like, I saw, just to get a little off topic.
Yeah.
There was someone on Facebook had posted this house for sale, and I looked at it, and in their basement they had like a wall with guns hanging on it.
Yeah.
But it was all Nerf guns.
Yikes! Oh, I saw that too.
I thought it was so funny. I was like, I love this. I love whoever lives here.
So yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Now, most people, they'll just read the headline.
Yeah.
And they'll just say, that's going to go super wrong. And it still might. I'm not just trying to say
yeah, you're going to lose people in the jungle.
Yeah. But I don't know. Just if I had the funds to do this, I would totally do it.
With your friends, though.
Yeah, no.
It wouldn't be something that you advertise and have to get permits.
Squads
and
of 4.
Things. What?
Squads of 4? Anyways. So really awesome. I think this is a good time to jump into our number one gaming news right here. A lot of people, and we talked about this in our previous
episode.
Previously on Games and Groceries.
I was just thinking that too.
We talked about the difficulty in video games and how everybody's just up in arms about easy mode in games like Sekiro. On both sides, people on the side of like they want easy mode are up in arms because they want to experience the game, blah, blah, blah. And the other side is up in arms like, but I want spicy food, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of controversy with there. This is what I do. I go blah, blah, blah when I'm up in arms. So the designer behind the games of the Dark Souls, Soulsborne games, Sekiro, the man Hidetaka Miyazaki is actually open to the idea. He's over here, baby. He's on top of the couch.
Couldn't see him behind you.
Yeah, the dog is on top of the couch. He jumped over the moon. Hidetaka Miyazaki is actually open to the idea of a story-focused game. And he actually mentioned Red Dead Redemption 2. He wants to make a game like Red Dead Redemption 2.
Fun.
Super long game that gets you exhausted after 40 hours.
Oh my gosh, you were so tired.
I was.
And I was tired of watching you play.
Oh, rats. So at the one event called Reboot Develop, Miyazaki mentioned at a keynote that one day he would love to make a story-driven game. And he was actually talking with the designer behind Shadow of the Colossus, and his name is losing me because I didn't write it down in my notes. But he was talking with him and talking about stories and games. And he was saying to the panel, he was saying that gameplay defining a story, he says that it's like you're playing with clay, and it slowly comes into focus as you're playing with this clay around. That's what the gameplay is like. I don't know what that means, but good on you, Miyazaki.
It sounds fun.
It does sound fun. Like Play-Doh. I like Play-Doh. Do you like Play-Doh?
It's fun.
Silly
I saw
putty.
this article that Play-Doh was meant to be used as like it wasn't meant. It was thinking it was meant to clean something. Like it wasn't meant to be like a toy.
Clean bad vibes, I'm thinking.
No.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But Miyazaki even admitted on the panel that his communication is a little rough, that even his developers designing the game, they don't even understand his plot sometimes. So even if like even if you play a Dark Souls game and you're unsure what the story is, don't worry, because not even the developers know.
Not even the people who made it know what it's about.
Yeah. Would you play a story-driven game by Miyazaki, Mr. Miyazaki, Mr. Dark Souls?
I mean, I don't see why not if it was interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, you see the kind of games, like the kind of worlds that he builds, like Dark Souls, Sekiro. Would you play a game kind of in that realm?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, if the story sounds intriguing or if it seems intriguing to me, like it really just depends on the subject or like what the theme is. Like it just kind of depends on what it's about or what it looks like. Like, yeah. So it just depends. But I mean, I wouldn't turn down. I'm like, I know people can be very specific about like if they like a certain developer or a writer or they'll only play those games or like, I don't care. Like if it looks good, I'll play it.
No, that's definitely true. I think I would definitely play it. I'm not really a huge fan of Dark Souls. I really want to play Sekiro because it looks more in tune with what I want from a game.
Very interesting.
It does. But then he goes about saying, like, I want to make a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 in his kind of world. Like,
yeah, that seems like that's really intriguing. I would definitely be into looking at it.
Yeah. And he wants to say that, like, he wants to focus on the story. He wants to drive the game with the story and not the gameplay like he usually does. So this is really interesting, but he didn't say that keep in mind. Oh, hold up. Rumor alert!
You guys really don't know how excited he gets to press that button.
It's not really a rumor, but I just wanted to press the button.
He just wanted to press the button.
But keep in mind here that he didn't say he's in development of. He did not say that he's currently in development of this. He said that someday he would love to make a story-driven game.
Yeah.
So
in a few years you might see something pop up.
Yeah. I think this is a good time. Since we're talking about narrative games, I think this is a good time to introduce our guest. Let's introduce Dan from the Greatest Story Ever Played podcast. Let's go!
It's interview time.
Dan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem, man. Thanks for accepting it. So, most of our audience, like, we probably share an audience at this point. But for those who don't know, can you talk a little bit about what your show's about and what kind of games you play?
Yeah, definitely. So our podcast is called The Greatest Story Ever Played. Our kind of main focus is on story-driven or narrative-heavy video games. And really, it can be kind of whatever variety. They don't have to be of a certain genre. Just if story is kind of the main thrust, then we're interested in that. And you can find us on Twitter at StoryEverPod. And if you look up Greatest Story Ever Played, you'll run into our podcast.
Yeah, straight up. It's a very unique name. I always liked it. Did it come from, obviously, The Greatest Story Ever Told?
Right. Yes. It was a play off of that.
Nice. I saw it. I was like, that's awesome. That's a good name, man. But yeah, definitely give him a listen. You and Jordan go through mostly, and it's kind of like sad that most people like call it walking simulators and they like put it in a lower sense. But you guys go through those kind of games where it's very narrative driven. No, sorry. But yeah, so we have 5 questions for you, and I want to get to know you better and our audience to get to know you better. So you ready for number 1?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. So as you said, you mostly do narrative-driven games, story games. And I just want to ask you, what's the most difficult part of making a podcast about story-driven games?
I think one of the most challenging parts is just that you actually have to finish the game to record a good episode on it,
Right on.
And even, I guess, related to that is that that kind of does push you into games that you can do in a manageable amount of time. Like, Witcher 3 can take 100 hours to play or something like that, and you get a 2-hour podcast out of it. Like, that would make that hard to do on a regular basis. So you're kind of pushed into a certain time limit of, I don't know, playing it outside of that time rather than, I played 10 hours of a game and I can talk about it in a real way.
Yeah, it's true. And you bring up a good point, too, with The Witcher 3. Even if you beat it, how do you put it into a 1 to 2 hour podcast?
Right. It seems like that would be deserving of a entire podcast rather than brief thoughts.
Oh, my goodness. It's just such a massive game. But yeah, so, and we'll talk about that, too. I don't want to spoil any narrative driven games in our talkie time. But yeah, getting that game done within that week span, or whenever you have to record that podcast, for sure.
Right.
And question 2 that I have for you. You also mentioned on Twitter and some of your podcasts that you actually never owned the last generation of games, but you also said that you have childhood memories of gaming. So you obviously had a hiatus of video games. So what caused that hiatus and what brought you back into gaming?
Yeah. So, yeah, I grew up playing games. In high school, I had a PS2, so that was my age range.
Nice.
I'm 30 now, so
yeah.
I had a PS2, and really back then, I mostly played a lot of Madden or Call of Duty, Halo, that kind of deal.
Right on.
And then when I got to college, I think that was probably around when PS3 came out, and so I just didn't buy one. And and then just getting into college and working and hanging out with friends and all that stuff, and so video games just kind of went by the wayside. And then a little while into that, I got pretty into the Walking Dead show. Me and Jordan were into that, and I looked online and was like, oh, there's Walking Dead video games? Jordan likes games. Maybe I should ask him about them.
Nice.
He hadn't played them either, and we started playing them, and to me that was like, oh wow, video games can be way more than just something fun like Halo or Madden or something like that. It's like they can be in-depth stories that hit emotions and I don't know, tell good stories or whatever. And so that got me interested. And then a couple years ago, I got way more Christmas money than I would ever need.
Right on.
And I was like, I'm usually pretty cheap and stuff like that, so I don't spend money on myself a lot. And I was like, well, I've got this weird amount of money. I'm gonna buy a PlayStation. Let's see if I want to get back into this. And
nice.
Then a little while after that, Life is Strange, and then boom, then I got full back in.
I like it. No, it's funny you say that because when I bought my Xbox One, it was probably years after it released. And I used it with our honeymoon money, or the wedding money.
Oh. Yeah,
the
day after our wedding, we went out and got an Xbox One Xbox One.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. That's awesome.
Right on, because you get with all the marriage money, or not the marriage money, the wedding money.
Their wedding gifts.
The wedding gifts. That's the word. And it's just oh, you know what? There's a lot of spare change here. I want the Xbox One.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. But no, it's funny you mentioned that with college and you kind of drop out with that. That's around the same time I took a little bit of a hiatus too, because there's just so much going on. And at the same time, there's a lot of people telling you oh, you're a grown man now, you're a grown woman now. Why are you playing video games? So there's a lot of pressure there too, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, definitely. And even living with roommates, you don't get the same TV time as you do at your own house.
Oh, no, true. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a lot going on. I've seen a lot of hiatuses come on college, which, that's the most stress. You need the most games.
Yeah.
Right.
So, is that your dog?
Yes, it is.
I mean, we got a dog here too, so don't worry about it.
I hope it's okay.
That's all right.
Sorry.
That's totally cool, man. So getting to know you a little bit better. You said narrative games are a lot like a good show. I heard this from your podcast teaser, if anybody wants to listen to that. that you say narrative games are like a good TV show. So what TV shows come to your mind that had you the most emotionally invested?
Yeah, I think like in that teaser, and I think that just TV right now really is just super super good. Like there's just a list of 10 shows everyone wants to watch that they haven't yet, and then the million that they do watch, even. But I really like Walking Dead. It's had its up and down, but I'm still into it, and it's gotten good again, so that's nice. Or like Game of Thrones or Better Call Saul.
Nice.
True Detective, Fargo. Like I'm any of that kind of stuff. I'm super interested just if it can like pull me in, like that, or I don't know, killing off characters. That's usually pretty emotional, so I like that.
Right on.
Yeah.
You said Better Call
those
Saul.
Are some of the ones I really like.
You said Better Call Saul. Is Breaking Bad in that list?
Yeah, I like Breaking Bad a lot too. That show several times when watching it got me like standing up and yelling at my TV, and I was like, that's how I know it's good. I'm like screaming that this thing could happen. Like that's good storytelling.
Oh my goodness, yeah, because I was waiting for that. You were saying Better Call Saul. I'm like, he better have watched Breaking Bad. Like it's.
I don't think you can watch Better Call Saul and not watch Breaking Bad. I think that's just rude.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and totally missing out.
Oh my goodness, yeah. It's such a good show. So you like the ones that are just like really impactful. Like every time you want to like jump off your seat, or like a character gets killed and you're just like complaining about it to your wife who doesn't really care, and she's like, "Please go to bed. I don't understand why you're complaining about it."
Yes, that is exactly what happens. And then go listen to people talk on podcast about it, so I have someone to commiserate with.
True that, man. True that. Speaking of things to complain about, I got a fourth question for you. You've made it pretty known that you are a Cleveland Browns fan. Now, yes. The Browns are probably considered the most disappointing team in all of sports. One of, not the most. But with all that said, in your opinion, as a Browns fan, what's the best part about being a fan of the Browns?
Best part is hopefully this season, but which I guess was actually always an answer, but this year it might be real.
Oh, for real, yeah.
But yeah, this time it's looking dangerous, as Baker would say, feeling dangerous.
Who did you get this season?
I've got a lot of friends who are Browns fans, so I think that we've kind of had this kind of all right, we're still committed. Okay, next year. But yep. now I think we're actually probably at a spot where we're going to have a lot more happy Sundays than sad ones.
Right. Yeah, you got OBJ, right?
Yeah, getting OBJ, that's huge.
That was so weird. Like, just to see him in a Browns jersey, that's going to be it's awesome, but it's so off at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely strange, but it's nice that good players are coming here.
True that, man. No, like you have my old mentality as an Eagles fan, and it's just like next year.
Right. Well, and you guys got that with Foles 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, and I was in New York, so like nobody understood, but at the same time, everybody hated me, and it was just amazing.
Oh, yeah, right. That you probably feel like a troll to them.
Yeah, exactly. But like you said, like I think a good part of that, being in that former camp before, you always like have that camaraderie. Thank you.
Yeah,
that's the word I'm looking for.
I know.
With your friends, saying like, there's always next year. There's definitely next year. But and hopefully this year with OBJ, like that's going to be like the real thing. And who's your quarterback again? I can't remember.
Baker Mayfield.
Yep. I think that'll be a good matchup. I think you got at least playoff contention.
Yeah, I think so too. Which is crazy to feel that way.
Oh yeah,
like have expectations.
What was the 1 year where you went 0-16? That was pretty recent, right?
Last year, the year before.
That was last year.
Yeah.
Man, I thought it was longer than that.
Oh. Yeah, surprisingly recent.
That would be weird if you went 0-16 and then went to the playoffs the very next year.
That would be interesting.
That would be insane.
That would be crazy, man. But yeah, so speaking of things that you're fans of, right? I like to do these segues now. You also mentioned on your podcast or on one of the episodes, your top 10 books of 2018, that Goblet of Fire is your favorite Harry Potter book. Now, you have a favorite Harry Potter book, but which is your favorite movie and why?
So I'm actually a bad person, have not seen any of the movies.
What?
Yeah, and actually, to add to further badness, last year was my first time reading Harry Potter.
What?
So I'm pretty late to the game. Uh,
Oh, no.
I thought I was late to the game. I didn't read them until I was in high school.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
Adam thought I was late then.
Oh,
No.
my.
See,
Yeah,
it could have been worse.
I'm clearly last place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you need to go out and watch them.
I know. We a couple weeks ago we did like a Lord of the Rings marathon with some
Nice.
friends where
That's
we were
nice.
like, okay, what movie's got to be next? And Harry Potter came up as like one of the ones that we should maybe do next time. And
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it probably has got to be it. You could probably watch 2 at a time and make your way through.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. They're
I mean,
not.
Freeform has a Harry Potter. Well, it used to have Harry Potter weekend like every other weekend. Now they have it maybe every couple months.
Yeah.
So you can always
That's
catch it there
awesome.
too.
Now, because
I
you're.
heard that the movies get better as they go. Is that true?
I was
Yes.
going to say that, like, because you're a book fan, you're going to be severely disappointed, at least with the first 2.
Yeah, but the movies definitely get better. Like the last 3 are my favorites.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay, that's good to know, so that I can judge the first ones with that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, minor spoiler, Peeves is not involved at all. He's not in the movies at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird.
I read the books and I see him and I'm waiting for Peeves to come out. And strangely enough, Peeves, well, you probably knew this if you had a PS2. Peeves is in the video games, the Harry Potter video games.
Hmm.
And I'm just like,
Oh, but he's not in the movies. That's
yeah.
weird.
I was just like, why? I don't understand. Like, why'd you put him in a game? But like, it's so
I
easy.
think the movies are already so long to include all of his hijinks. It would have just been too much. Because like with movies, you have to make sure you're sticking to that main
I guess.
subject, and he just kind of got in the way probably of the movie. The only thing that comforts me is that J.K. Rowling approved every movie.
Mhm.
So she approved. She's like, all right, it's okay. He's not pertinent to the story,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So she approved of it, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that seems fair. And I guess too, you're smashing a 500-page book into 2 hours. Like,
Yeah.
gotta lose some stuff.
Yeah.
True that. Now, my last question is, do you pronounce it Rowling or Rowling?
Ooh,
Because I've heard it both
I
ways.
say rolling.
Rolling?
J.K.
Yeah.
Rowling.
I say rolling.
I've
Yeah, I
heard,
say rolling.
I've heard a couple times say Rowling, and I had to look in the mirror and say, am I an idiot?
Have I been saying this wrong my whole life?
Exactly. Like before I meet her someday, it's just like, oh, it's J.K. Rowling. It's Rowling. Oh, okay, I'll just go hide then. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry you remember me for that.
Yeah. That's awesome. But yeah, that's all we have for our interview questions. And let's just jump right into our...
Coffee time.
So every single week, we like to jump into a single gaming topic that we thought about during the week, just saying, hey, I want to talk about this. And now we have Dan from the Greatest Story Ever Played podcast, who does narrative-driven games. We thought we'd like to talk about simply narrative-driven games, right? So let's just jump right into it with our first talking point. What really hooks you in a game's story? I feel like it's like rock, paper, scissors of who starts. We'll start with our guest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess just setting up that interesting dilemma or something like that to really early on, like with Life is Strange at the beginning, you have that storm. Okay, what's going on? Or
Yeah.
Walking Dead, obviously the zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, there's this interesting dilemma that pulls you in, that keeps you going to find out the next thing that gets you there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, do I have poor connection? But that's okay. It will probably come back. You were breaking up a little bit, but we got that. There we go. It's gone now. Thank you. But yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. That's once it has to kick you in within like the first 20 minutes, I would say. First 20 minutes, maybe first hour. 20 minutes is it's a lot to reach, but the first hour, I would say, has to like really hook you in. But same thing with Life is Strange 1. The first episode, I actually stopped playing it probably the first 10 minutes because I was like, I don't really vibe with this.
Yeah.
But then like I pushed forward, and it's just like, oh man, I gotta know everything about this story.
Yeah. Well, I think the problem with season 2 of Life is Strange, is that what you said, or did you say episode 2?
Oh, season 1. Oh, Dan, are you still there? Dan?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm there.
Yeah, it said,
Adam had a little panic attack.
yeah, it said poor connection, and then I heard silence. Like, uh-oh.
No, yeah. You were a little fuzzy for a second on my end, but I was still tracking.
Oh, right on. But no, yeah, it's definitely within the season 1, episode 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I heard it too.
No, that's season 2.
Sorry.
Yeah. But what hooks you into a story, Liz?
Usually it's the characters.
Mm-hmm.
I get very personal with games where it's like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm playing an annoying character, like if Max Caulfield was an annoying person,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I would probably have a harder time continuing the game.
Right.
I mean, because you've seen that, like, when I'm watching a show, if I hate someone in the show, like, I cringe every time they're on screen. Like,
Yeah.
I get very, like, personal with them. So I think it has to have good characters and that big dramatic hook type thing. Like, I love my drama shows and everything. So something usually dramatic that keeps me interested, like what's going to happen next type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I would also say probably the characters and like what you said, like the story. And I would even say, I had something, but the purpose behind it, you know, what's getting me forward? Do I care about the purpose?
Yeah.
That's what really drove me in the Halo games.
Yeah.
You know, you got to stop the Covenant from taking over the Halo rings, and it's just that purpose that really drives me forward.
They can't just drop you in the story and be like, care about this. Like, they have to build up to be like, you should care about this because otherwise all your friends will die. Like, something like that.
Right. It's kind of like Oxenfree, where the purpose is
get out alive.
Pretty much, actually.
Right. Yeah. Get off this island.
Get off of this island, or else Clarissa will be taken into a vacuum hole in hell. But I didn't really care about that the first time.
I think the word you're looking for is possessed.
I think vacuum hole in hell is it's a better term for it.
Okay.
But
I guess too, off of Liz's comment, is that I think that the main character, like, I have to like them, but like Ren, he was kind of annoying. I can deal with like an annoying side character, but if I can't relate it all to the main character, that's gonna really hurt.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, side characters I can deal with, but if the person I'm playing and have to deal with 24/7 is like annoying, I'm like, meh.
Right.
Or I'll still play and I'll just be yelling at the main character the whole time. I've done that too.
My goodness. So, jumping into that, like we're definitely hooked in these stories, and that's what a game has to do, is just hook you. I mean, that's the whole point of a hook, is to get you reeled into the whole story. Now, it has to hook you for a whole episode, right? We're in a season where there's a lot of like episodic titles. We have the Hitman games, we have Life is Strange, we used to have Telltale. I always say that Telltale. What are some of the pros and the cons of episodic releases?
I think. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I guess I think a pro is like you. I like getting the story as it kind of goes out and having to wait, like just like you do with TV or something like that. I think that's pretty nice. I guess your con is similar, though, is that if it takes too long, people kind of forget about your game, and that's not so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, where like if it takes too long, I'm just like, but I don't care anymore. I've moved on. But I don't mind episodic releases, but definitely like I feel like they take too long. Like it's almost like Netflix series. It's like, great, you released the whole series all at once, so now I've binge watched it and now I can't watch it ever again until the next season next year. Like, it's a little too much. Like episodic releases, like I feel like if you do it, I wish they were like closer together, like a month apart. Like, I don't know, sometimes I don't like episodic releases as much. Like I'm just like, Yeah,
I'm trying to remember of season 1 with Life is Strange. I'm trying to remember the time lapse between episodes. I feel like it hasn't been as long as season 2.
Season 1 we bought as a whole package.
I still remember it because I was still working.
Yeah, I know you remember it releasing, but I don't feel like it's not the same if you're not playing it. Like, we got it and we play it and we just played it.
Yeah.
You know?
Dan, do you recall how long the release titles were?
I think that back then, I was the same as you guys. I played it straight through, but I think theirs was more like 8 to 10 weeks before, whereas I feel like with Life is Strange 2, it's more like 12 to 16 weeks, which is
it's getting
quite a
much.
while.
Yeah, because I remember the first Life is Strange coming out, and I was still working at GameStop at the time of that releasing, so everybody was talking about like the next episode, but I still didn't own an Xbox One at the time. I was like, yep, totally.
And we're getting on episode 3 of season 2. That's the one that's coming next. And we're inching up on almost... Yeah, we're inching up on almost a year since the first episode released, and we're only getting to episode 3. Like, I feel like that's a little bit much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a little too long, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. That's part of the cons of it, is that you're just... you're just like losing the momentum of the game.
No offense to Life is Strange season 2. I mean, everyone's heard my opinion on it already. It's kind of losing me.
Oh yeah,
with each episode. So we'll see.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. Like, Dan, you have a more positive attitude towards season 2, where we had a more negative. Is that still in the same light? You still have a more positive attitude?
Yeah, I feel positive about it so far. I think that kind of I'm going to save my full judgment for once all 5 episodes are out, kind of thing. I like some of the things I've seen, but I'm kind of like, I know I don't have the full picture, so it could do more. And I guess as like a side thing is I really want it to work out for Don't Nod, so I hope that they make a good game.
Oh, for sure.
I hope that moving away from Max and Chloe isn't like a huge blunder for them. Like, I hope that it's like, okay, that was pretty good, even if it's not Max and Chloe. I hope that it gets there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure. It's just I feel you, where it's just kind of like you wanted to work. You wanted to work so bad just because season 1 was so great.
Yeah.
And so impactful, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just because I know that I held some negative reviews about episode 2, but there's 3 more episodes to build back up, and I think they have the potential to do so.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm not as positive with it.
Right on.
They definitely have convincing to do. Like, they're you know, if it stays the same, then I think all of us will be like, oh, that was like a 6 or a 7, and like,
yeah. Once episode 3 comes out and it's still kind of dragging, then I'm gonna lose a little bit more faith. But I'm also a less positive person, I guess. So I always see glass half empty kind of person. And with what I sense from your podcast, you're definitely a glass half full kind of guy.
Yeah, I think that is the take. And I guess even another glass half full thing is I am glad that they gave us the, like, these are the 3 release dates we're going to do.
True,
rather than leaving us wondering, like, when is it going to be? And then, oh my God, it's 10 weeks. Oh my God, it's 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm like, okay, fine. I know that I'm getting this one in May, and then I think the next one's in August or something. And I'm like, fine, I won't worry about Life is Strange 2 until August, because I don't have to think about it. Instead of like, just keep anticipating and then keep being let down.
Oh no, it's true. It's like at least we can pencil it in, and like you said, at least the one thing we don't have to worry about is waiting for each episode to come out.
Yeah, I hope that episodic games do that in the future. When Telltale did that for Walking Dead before it died. And then
you're right.
back,
yeah, that's true.
I thought that was really good because it was like, okay, cool. I don't have to wonder. I'm not mad that I don't know. Instead, I'm like, all right, that's what it is. Cool. You deliver that. I'm going to be excited each of those days.
Yeah, exactly. Like, now I can actually look forward to it, which episode 3 is coming out the day before we leave to go see my mom for Mother's Day. And I'm just like, oh man, it's like, so I have to play it, rush it, and then hopefully record our thoughts before we leave for vacation that week. So, but I think yeah, it should definitely work out. I'm really good at making my thoughts known really quickly, I guess. That's the other thing.
Yeah, cram it all in.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. I don't like rushing my thoughts on anything. I like to kind of soak it in, sleep on it, make sure that I'm not going into it with an emotional state. But
I'm good at judging it on the spot.
Yeah.
So you'll be ready right away.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, understood. So jumping into another talking point that we have here, I also have down here, what do you prefer more, right? Shorter games like Oxenfree that take about 4 to 5 hours, not even 5 hours, or longer games like Red Dead Redemption 2 that took me 60 hours to beat the main story.
Wow, way to choose two polar opposites.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the point. But what are your thoughts, Dan?
I guess from a podcast standpoint, shorter is probably better because it's
Oh,
easier
yeah.
to keep up with.
Oh, that's true enough, yeah.
As a person, I could go either way. Like I really loved Horizon Zero Dawn, and I think I put like 75 hours in that or something. Like
Oh, my.
a lot. Yeah. I don't think I've ever played a game that much. But it was amazing. Like it was so great, and I liked all of it. But so I guess it's what it warrants almost. Like I don't know. I thought Horizon Zero Dawn, those 75 hours were all good. I would have played more if they wanted to give me more.
True that.
Yeah. So basically based off the capability of it being able to keep your attention for however many hours it makes you play, basically.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Because I guess even probably some shorter games I've played, I've been like, I'm glad that's kind of over.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though it was only 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
I still haven't played Dear Esther yet. I have it on PC, and I keep hearing that it's just okay. And it's only a 2-hour game, so I'll just play in an afternoon sometime. But whereas What Remains of Edith Finch, that was 2 hours, right? 2 to 3 hours?
Yeah, just about.
Mm-hmm. And that just really pulled me right in.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yeah, that was. I think that's probably the best walking sim that exists.
Yes, I definitely agree with
so
that.
Good.
And I agree with you. I like how you first said, like, on a podcast standpoint, I like the shorter games.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I want to get as much gaming in as possible to, like, I guess, report on it a little bit. And I remember when I first picked up Red Dead Redemption 2 and I wanted to give my thoughts about it a little bit, and it took me a month to beat it. And I was just like, I'm so close to beating it, guys. I promise. Like, it's such a long game.
Well, even when you have the shorter ones like Life is Strange, it's only about 3 hours, but in a game like that where you know there's hidden things that you need to find, that makes it even longer. And like a situation that is coming up with the next episode for us where we have to play it, record, and leave to go on vacation. It's like, I remember the last episode took me so long and I felt like it was dragging and dragging. I was just like, I want to be done. So it's like, it's that, I think sometimes even the shorter ones, it's that playability and like, all right, I don't mind. Like it can be short, but it also needs to be interesting.
See, as soon as you said that, you know what I thought of? Every time I finally get somebody to play Oxenfree, they're like, oh, I beat it. I said, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, go back. You see that continued timeline? Yeah. Click that and then enjoy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that was interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta do multiple run-throughs on that game.
Yeah, I remember I listened to your episode on Oxenfree, and you said that Jordan left and he came back downstairs and he saw a continued timeline, and you're like, what's this?
I had no idea. It was the greatest reveal ever. I was so excited.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
And then playing again was awesome too.
Oh yeah, man.
That second playthrough is great.
Yeah, it makes it a whole brand new game. It's almost like Oxenfree 2 because it just puts out different narratives within it. But we got Oxenfree 2 coming soon with After Party, so I'm excited about that.
There's gonna be an Oxenfree
Me too.
2?
No, it's just it's Night School's next game.
Oh, okay.
And it's called After Party. And basically, you're two teenagers in hell, and you have to find Satan to have a drinking contest with him.
What in the world?
But
it looks insane in all the best ways.
I need to see a trailer.
They said it's going to make you cry as much as Oxenfree did, but then I thought I don't think I really cried in Oxenfree.
I think they just mean like the emotional.
Yeah.
You know, for people who really feel.
For people who have a soul.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I understand that.
But it sounds interesting, but I'm curious to see how a game about having a drinking game with Satan, how that takes an emotional toll on you.
No, right?
I'm very interested.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's so strange of an idea, but it looks super fun, and they've got like all the fun voice actors in it. Chloe's gonna be in it, and from Life is Strange, her voice actor Ashley Burch, she's gonna be in it, and like a bunch of former Telltale voice actors and stuff like that. It looks awesome.
Okay, now I'm interested.
So speaking of games that we're interested in, I'm just getting better at these segues now.
Just doing great, huh?
Yeah. So speaking of games that we're really interested in, talking about stories that are just so long. Like I said, I played Red Dead Redemption 2, and just to beat the main story, it took me 60 hours. What are some story-driven games that are super long, but you just don't have time for anymore? What do you think, Dan?
Lots of them. Yeah, I think that, like, you know, I'd love to play like Fallout games or Skyrim or.
You haven't played Skyrim?
Red Dead 2. I haven't played any of those.
Oh, no.
Yeah, there's all these good games that are awaiting me, and I think I'll get there eventually. But you know, it's kind of hard because they basically have to be a side game for me to play. Because like, I can't just hey, I'll put out a Skyrim episode, guys. Once it's done, I'll make a new episode. It's like, all right, see you in 4 months. Like,
yeah.
No, right?
So it has to be kind of on the side with other stuff. So. I think that's where that kind of makes those hard. I definitely want to get to all of them though, because they all seem exactly like what I would want to play. Like, I didn't know I liked RPGs at first, and as I've played more, I'm definitely into them. But they also all have a lot of time in them.
Yes, they do. Oh man, like I wish I knew how many hours I put into Skyrim, but
too many,
man. Same thing with Fallouts. Like, it's just so good. But I get what you're saying. That like, it's just. Because it's such a massive game, you really can't just like, hey, here's Skyrim, why don't you play it? It's a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to change your lifestyles a little bit to get into Skyrim like that.
Yeah.
But see, I was
definitely
See, I was surprised about Skyrim, but I was about to drop the news bomb that I have not played a single Witcher game. And
me either.
Yeah. And I know they're so fantastic.
They look interesting.
And I always see it on sale. Like, they always have the complete edition for $15. And it's actually on sale right now for 15. And it's not a bad price. It's just, when am I going to have time for, like you said, it takes like 100 hours to play that. And I want to play other games. Like, honestly.
Play little bits at a time.
Yeah, but it's going to suck me in. I know it's. Like,
yeah, you're good at that.
Yeah, pretty much. Like. That's the thing. Like, I do want to play The Witcher 3, like any Witcher game, but especially Witcher 3.
Mm-hmm.
One, because it's always on sale, and I like sales. But but that's the thing. It's just it's just too long. I don't know if I'll ever be able to play it, especially with Starfield coming out soon. Not this year though, unfortunately. Liz, are there any games that like are super long that you want to play?
Not super long, but longer than I'm used to, because I've said before, like, Life is Strange is like the first video game other than Sims that I really played. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I was used to. And now I'm starting to get into the other ones, like
the David Cage games.
The David Cage ones. So, and those aren't extremely long. So I got used to those. And then I started playing The Last of Us, and I'm just like, oh, this is a real game. Yeah. So that's a little longer, and that's an actual time investment for me to sit down and play it. Because one, those games stress me out when I can't kill things that should die or killing me. Yeah. Like, when I keep dying, I get so frustrated. So like, I need to be in the right mindset to play these. Like, I can't, like, I haven't played it all tax season because it's just too much for me to deal with. So it's more of like the emotional investment, I guess, in the longer, more stressful type games.
No, that's true. It's just it doesn't even have to be a long game. It's like an emotional stretch of a game too. My goodness. And
That's totally true. When I first started playing The Last of Us, I just got killed by clickers all the time, and
Yeah.
at the very beginning, and I was like, all right, I need to figure this out, or I'm not going to be able to play this game. Like,
I couldn't even beat like the first like battle. Like I had to have Adam get past it for me the first time. I'm just like, I can't do it. I keep dying, and I actually dropped it for like 3 months before I'm like, Adam, fix it.
No, that's true. I know this isn't what this topic is, but your last one talking about difficulty in games.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
In there is that like if I get stuck, if I get stuck too much, I'm out and I probably won't come back. So
yeah.
That's also important.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I also have we went over the top 3 gaming news, and Hidetaka Miyazaki, I really hope I said that right, who is the creator of the Dark Souls games. He's actually open to the idea of playing a story-focused game, just like Red Dead Redemption. And I think that's really good for people that want to get invested in those games, like Sekiro and Dark Souls, but he's going to be focusing more on the story than anything else. But yeah, it's really interesting. And I also wanted to ask you, where do you stand on the whole difficulty in games scenario? That whole controversy.
I like to have the option of how hard I want it to be, like with Last of Us, that you can choose your difficulty levels or things like that. Just because I think for me, if I'm too frustrated, and I'll probably stop playing the game. And like, since I'm a guy who cares about the story more than other things, like I don't care if I get the quote unquote easy way out. Like I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me because I'm not, trying to be a self-proclaimed good gamer or something like that. Like, I don't really care about that. I'm like, no, The Last of Us, like that story, this thing was really cool, or it made me feel this way. Like, that's what I care way more about. So like, I don't know. I like the option, but I also understand if games don't want to. So like, I know Dark Souls are super hard, and so I'm like, well, I probably won't buy those unless I like get way better at games.
Yeah. No, I feel that, like I said in the last episode, I've never beaten a Soulsborne game, like ever. I'll pick it up and I say, no, thank you, and I'll return it. But I can definitely respect the people that want that type of game. It's just definitely, it's not for me. But I like how Miyazaki is more interested in like, no, I definitely want to make a story focused game. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. He'll probably have a difficulty, like it'll be easy, medium, and Soulsborne. Like that will be the difficulty titles. So to close out our conversation.
If he does that, then he'll get to keep his audience.
Oh, yes. Oh, man, that would be so cool, though.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm going to contact him.
No, let's not.
Ah, dang it. But yeah, closing out our conversation, we just got the reveal of Jedi Fallen Order, and this is a story-focused game. And what was really interesting was Vince Impella yesterday, we're recording this on Saturday, so on Friday, Vince Impella actually revealed to an audience, like, listen, this is a story-focused game. There's no multiplayer. There's no microtransactions. And the crowd actually cheered. Like, they were so happy about that. And in a time where it's all multiplayer, all microtransactions, live services, whatever, there's still a future in narrative-driven games. And the last point we want to make is, what kind of future do you see narrative-driven games having? So Dan, we'll start with you. What kind of future do narrative-driven games have?
Star Wars actually boosted my feeling towards this today.
Nice.
Seeing that, because
the trailer's so good.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah,
it's awesome looking. So that does make me feel some hope towards it, because as you said, it is going a lot more towards multiplayer, microtransaction, that kind of thing, and that's not really the kind of games that I play or want to play. And so some of that even has me worried that, like, will games leave me behind or something like that. But seeing that, Star Wars is doing that, or like a lot of the PlayStation exclusives, those seem to be pretty story driven, and PlayStation seems to have marked itself out as like, we're still into stories, like we'll put our money there. And so I do feel good about that, but I mean, I guess on the other side, seeing something like Telltale close down isn't good.
Oh, very true. No. Yeah, because that's weird. Well, like the Telltale situation was a little strange just because they put out too many games and they just couldn't keep up with themselves. So
That's true.
yeah. But people just weren't buying it anymore. But no, I see what you're saying though. Like even PlayStation, all their exclusives are very narrative driven. I mean, last year God of War won Game of the Year, a narrative driven game that had no multiplayer and no microtransactions as far as I know. I don't think there's any microtransactions.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think there are. Have you still not unwrapped your copy of God of War yet?
I started playing.
Nice. What do you think?
Slowly but surely, I'm making my way through it.
Nice.
It's pretty fun so far.
Yeah, like the gameplay involved in it is it's fantastic. It's so fluid. It's so nice. It's very satisfying. My goodness. Liz, where do you see narrative-driven games going?
The reveal of the Star Wars one that's coming out, definitely brings me hope that
A New Hope?
Hush. That it just gives me that hope that these newer games, the more combat type games, are also kind of stepping into all right, maybe we should have a more compelling story. So kind of bringing two worlds together. So that does bring hope that story games are gonna still continue in the future. But I definitely agree with Dan where it seems that PlayStation is on board with let's just do these. They have all the David Cage games and they're all story, and hopefully that continues, and hopefully the more that other platforms see how successful those games are, because I know that when David Cage games come out, other PlayStation exclusive games come out, that that I see it all the time on Facebook and on Twitter, people freaking out over this game that's coming out. So hopefully that will soon be so big that other platforms will be oh, maybe we should look into having getting more of these types of games on our platform too. No,
totally. And I like what you said, that more platforms are going to be more invested in this. And that's what I think. I think a lot of people are afraid they're going to lose money on these games, but in all actuality, they still continue to make games, are still continuing to make money. Like we talked about with Dragon Age 4 in the top 3 gaming news, how it's going to be a live service, continued storytelling. You're going to purchase new chapters in the game, instead of microtransactions, you're purchasing more of the game.
Yeah, more story.
Right. And I think that's where we're leading off to. I think we're going to have more episodic releases where you're continuing to make money from that.
Yeah.
And also DLC packages and all this other stuff rather than pointless microtransactions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah, I could see that, because that would maybe be a way businesses would invest in story-driven games, because maybe they just haven't figured out how they're going to make money off of us again.
True.
But if that's the way to do it, then they will.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're so afraid that oh, we're going to lose money. We're going to lose money. But that's how the gaming industry was started, was with narrative-driven games and story games. Yeah, you had their multiplayer games, but I like what you said, Dan, with I'm afraid that the gaming industry is going to leave me behind, and I'm going to have to get into games like Fortnite. And I'm no, thank you.
Oh, no.
I tried really hard to get into Fortnite. I could not. I don't
even
really
like watching it.
Yeah, it was so dull. Oops, lost my Fortnite audience. If I ever had a Fortnite audience, that would be cool, though. But yeah, no, I liked what you said. I just don't want to be left behind. And I still think there's a really good place in this. Dan, did you at all watch the reveal stream for Jedi Fallen Order today?
I didn't watch the stream. I just saw the trailer and the first announcement thing that came out earlier before that.
Yeah, definitely check it out, just because the main actor for Jedi Fallen Order, I can't remember his name, but he actually played Joker on Gotham. And
cool.
At least young Joker. We don't know about later on because we haven't.
Yeah, we haven't finished Gotham yet.
But we know that he plays young Joker.
Yeah.
So
he was saying oh, this is my first video game. He was talking about how it still takes skill to act in a video game and really give a a compelling story in it. And he was just really saying like, no, video games do have a future with narratives, with acting, with giving the audience something to like really chew on. Yeah. So it was just really cool to see like an actor say that. Like
that's awesome. That's big. And even as video games have started, it seems like having some bigger actors like that, Death Stranding, having Daryl or whatever from Walking Dead, like that's like a big deal. Or Until Dawn had Rami Malek before he was big. That's pretty fun.
And Hayden Panettiere. That was a big name for a video game.
Yeah, that was huge having her too. Yeah, that was awesome.
I love her.
So I hope that crosses over.
Yeah.
I thought of another thing that could have me worried about narrative games potentially.
What's that?
Is I saw a thing that said that like the average person only owns 7 video games.
What?
Who did they survey?
Horrified. I was like, I own like more than 30.
Wow.
But you would think if that actually holds true, then I bet that person would have, I have Halo and I've got NBA Live or like that kind of thing. That would be their games. Or like maybe the most story-driven person would probably have like Fallout, Witcher, Red Dead, that kind of thing. But,
right, yeah.
So.
No, that's weird. If you have a link on that, can you send me that? Because I would love to read that.
Yeah, we'll do. I think I saw it on Reddit like a while ago, so I'll try to find it.
Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, like I said, I work with teenagers all the time, and there's one kid who has Spider-Man.
Oh my goodness!
No, I will bother him to the day.
No, I know. I'm just saying. We have this conversation with him every Sunday. Adam's like, "Did you play Spider-Man? I don't have room." And we're like, delete something. He's like, but what? And I'm just like, and then he comes like, oh, I play this new game. I'm like, really? Like you made room for that game, but you can't make room for Spider-Man. Like,
but it's mostly Fortnite he plays. Like it's Fortnite, and then all the other games are side games. All of that
kid's money goes to Fortnite.
Pretty much. Oh,
that makes sense. I feel like that's like that spot. I think that's where I was before when I first gamed in high school too. Was just playing a lot of Madden and like Halo or something, and it was like. That was all I did, and I just stayed with it forever.
True enough, yeah.
To me, I think I got kind of like, oh, there's not more there, so maybe he'll have to realize, wait, more is my Spider-Man.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna bother him until he plays it, man. Like Spider-Man is just so awesome. But I think we can wrap up this week's episode. Dan, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a great conversation. And thank you for revealing to us that you have not watched a single Harry Potter movie, but you're going to fix that soon, right?
I'm going to have to.
Yeah, right? This is a promise on the podcast. It's now on the internet. So your promise is now all over the web. I like it.
For all of history.
For all of history.
No, yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. And remind our audience, where can we find you? What's your podcast called again? What do you do? Just a final reminder.
Yeah, definitely. So you can find us at The Greatest Story Ever Played. You can find us on whatever podcast app you use, iTunes, Spotify, whatever. And you can find us on Twitter at StoryEverPod. We talk about in-depth narrative video games. This week we're going to come up with one on BioShock. Recently we've also talked about Telltale's Walking Dead, Life is Strange 2, that kind of stuff. So yeah, if any of that stuff interests you, definitely check us out.
Yeah, I highly recommend go checking out his podcast. He also has guest Jordan, and he also had Kevin on. But definitely go check out his podcast. It's especially if you like narrative-driven games. So we're just gonna wrap it up here. Definitely follow us on @GamingGroceries. Follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word. And definitely check out our website, gamesandgroceries.com. How many more times can I say Games and Groceries all in one sentence? So we thank you again for listening to this week's episode. Dan, thanks again for coming on. This has been a really awesome conversation. And we will check you guys next week. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.